Mary Wilson lived in a peaceful, wealthy neighborhood in Boston. Her apartment was a reflection of her style and creativity as an interior designer. Every corner of her home blended old and new designs perfectly. You could see how much effort she had put into every detail. It was clear she had a true gift for design. In the 5 years since she started her business, Wilson Interior Design, Mary had worked hard and earned a great reputation. Many young professionals trusted her to make their homes stylish and comfortable. She was always busy, and people appreciated her unique taste. But behind all that success, Mary carried a heavy sadness. It wasn't about her work, it was about her family. Her relationship with them, especially with her younger sister Deborah, had always been strained. One morning, Mary's phone rang. She saw "Mom" on the screen and hesitated before answering. She took a deep breath and pressed the button. Finally, "You answer," her mother, Carol, said in her usual impatient tone. "Did you get the invitation to Deborah's baby shower?" "Yes, it arrived yesterday," Mary replied, glancing at the soft pink envelope resting on her windowsill. "You're going, right?" her mother asked sharply. "Of course," Mary said. She didn't want to argue. "That's good. Deborah was worried you might not come." Mary gave a small, tired smile. She doubted Deborah was actually worried. In fact, she suspected her sister hoped she wouldn't come at all. Their relationship had always been rocky, and things had gotten worse after their father died suddenly from a heart attack. "What are you going to give her?" Carol asked. Her voice sounded like a test. "I haven't decided yet," Mary answered. "Well, it's less than 2 weeks away," Carol said. "Deborah and Richard are almost done setting up the nursery. Richard is so generous, he even hired a famous designer from New York to create the most luxurious baby room. You should see it." Mary said nothing. She didn't want to hear more about how perfect Deborah's life was. Richard, Deborah's husband, worked at a big real estate company and made a lot of money. Their wedding had been a big event, even covered in magazines. Mary, on the other hand, was single and focused on her business. Her mother never seemed proud of that. "Oh, and Deborah saw pictures of that hotel lobby you designed," Carol added. She said it was interesting. "That's what my client wanted, Mom," Mary replied calmly. It was very well received. "Well, I guess styles are changing," Carol said. "But real beauty never goes out of style." She continued casually, "Did you hear Deborah is dreaming of a lakeside cottage? Richard is looking for one as a surprise. They want to spend summers there after the baby is born." Mary's heart ached. Deborah had talked about wanting a house by a lake since they were kids. Those were some of their happiest memories, swimming and playing in the water together. "They haven't found one yet," Carol said. "But they will. Richard always gives Deborah what she wants." After the call, Mary walked to her desk and opened a folder labeled Beechwood Lake Property. Inside were papers and documents for a lakeside cottage. She had secretly bought it the year before. She had even taken money from her apartment fund and gotten a loan to afford it. It was a huge sacrifice. But Mary hadn't bought the cottage for herself. It was supposed to be a gift for Deborah. Her way of making peace. Her way of showing love. Mary had tried many times to fix her relationship with Deborah. But Deborah had always been competitive and jealous. Even as kids, she would break Mary's toys and act like Mary's school awards didn't matter. Their mother always took Deborah's side, telling Mary to act like the older sister and give in. At first, Mary had thought about simply handing Deborah the cottage. But then, she had a better idea. She wanted to create something more personal. She began making a handmade photo album, filled with childhood memories, pictures of the beautiful cottage, and the key and deed to the house. It wasn't just a gift, it was an offering of love and a hope for healing. Mary looked at the photos spread out on her desk. One showed Deborah as a little girl at the lake with their father. Another showed the two sisters as teenagers, standing side by side and smiling. The most recent pictures were of the cottage itself: white walls, blue windows, a wide deck, and big glass doors looking out at the water. It was everything Deborah had ever dreamed of. "This is for you and your family," Mary whispered, her voice soft, So your child can grow up happy and safe, not like we did. She carefully placed the photos into the album, hoping that Deborah would see how much this meant. She was afraid. Of course, expectations often led to disappointment, but she still hoped this would be her final attempt to reconnect. On the day of the baby shower, Mary dressed in her best navy blue dress. It wasn't expensive, but it was neat and clean. She carefully wrapped the photo album and drove to Deborah's house, a giant mansion in one of the fanciest neighborhoods in the city. As she walked up to the house, she took a deep breath. A banner hung over the entrance, "Welcome Baby Kennedy." Pink and gold balloons waved in the breeze. Her mother opened the door, and the disappointment on her face was instant. "Couldn't you have worn something nicer? This is Deborah's special day." "Hello, Mom, this is the best I could do," Mary said politely. Carol sighed and let her in. Inside, the house looked like something out of a magazine. Fancy lights, expensive furniture, and decorations perfectly arranged by a professional. Everyone wore designer clothes. Mary felt small and out of place. Her gift, wrapped in simple paper, looked like nothing compared to the tower of shiny, expensive boxes nearby. "Oh, Mary," Deborah called from across the room. She was 8 months pregnant and wearing an elegant dress and heels. She walked slowly toward Mary. "So you finally came," she said loudly. "Everyone, this is my sister Mary. She's an interior designer for a small local company." Mary smiled, ignoring the dig. "You look wonderful, Deborah. Pregnancy suits you." "Thank you," Deborah said proudly. "Carrying Richard's baby is the best thing that's ever happened to me. He treats me like a queen." Mary quietly found a seat in the corner. Nobody spoke to her. Some of Deborah's friends gave her strange looks. They noticed her plain dress and small gift and seemed to whisper behind her back. Soon, the party planner clapped her hands. "It's gift time." Deborah sat in a big chair and opened her presents, one by one: a silver baby frame, expensive toys, designer clothes. Everyone clapped and cheered. Then it was Mary's turn. She stood up slowly and walked over, handing the small box to her sister. "This is from me," she said quietly. Deborah ripped the wrapping and saw the handmade album. She read the title, "Our Memories and New Beginnings." She frowned. "Handmade?" she said, laughing through her nose. "So tacky. The baby doesn't need this." She tossed the album toward the trash. It missed and fell on the floor. The room went silent. Then someone chuckled. Another guest whispered. Carol shrugged. "You still don't know how to give proper gifts." Mary's heart felt like it was breaking. That album wasn't just a present, it was her love, her memories, and the key to a future she had built for Deborah, and they hadn't even looked inside. "If that's how you feel," Mary said softly. She bent down and picked up the album. For a moment, she wanted to explain, to open it, to show them, but no, this wasn't the right place. "Congratulations, Deborah. I hope you and your baby have a happy life." With that, she walked away. No one tried to stop her. Laughter returned to the room as if she'd never been there. On her way out, a young woman from the catering team gave her a kind look. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. "I'm fine," Mary said, though her voice trembled. That was a beautiful album. It didn't deserve to be thrown away. Mary looked at her more closely. "You're Kelly, right? I designed your company's website." "Yes, you did such an amazing job. We've been getting more clients ever since." Mary smiled, really smiled, for the first time that day. "I'm glad. Keep going, you're doing well." As she drove home, Mary held the album close. Deborah didn't want it, but maybe she did. Maybe this cottage wasn't a gift for her sister anymore. Maybe it was meant to be a gift for herself. A new beginning. A new beginning for Mary. Mary stepped into her quiet apartment and gently placed the photo album on the table. The soft evening light hit the cover, making the photos of the lakeside cottage glow. She stood silently, looking at it. "I haven't decided yet," she whispered to herself, "if I should tell Deborah the truth." Days passed. One evening, Deborah sat curled on her sofa, her belly round and heavy. The baby was coming soon. Richard was out of town, and for once, the house was quiet. Her morning sickness had passed, but moving around wasn't easy anymore. The doorbell rang. Deborah slowly stood and checked the security monitor. A young woman stood outside holding a small package. "Yes, who is it?" Deborah asked through the speaker. "Express delivery," the woman replied. I have a package from Miss Mary Wilson. Deborah blinked in surprise. A package? From Mary? They hadn't spoken since the baby shower. After that awful moment, she assumed Mary would want nothing to do with her again. This was unexpected. One moment, she said, unlocking the door. When she opened it, her surprise deepened. It was the young caterer from the party, Kelly. You're from the shower, Deborah said cautiously. Yes, Kelly Martin. The woman smiled warmly. Mary designed my company's website. She asked me to deliver this personally. Deborah accepted the box. It wasn't heavy, about the size of a book. Kelly also handed her a small card. A message from Mary, she said softly. Take care. Then she left. Back on the couch, Deborah stared at the box. Her heart pounded as she opened the card. To Deborah, for the beginning of your new life, it read, in Mary's familiar handwriting. A strange ache formed in Deborah's chest. She slowly lifted the box lid. Inside was the same photo album she had tossed aside at the baby shower, still intact, carefully preserved. Deborah's face fell. Was this Mary's way of scolding her, trying to guilt her? Part of her wanted to throw it out again, but something stopped her. She opened it. The first page said, Our Memories, and held old photos, Deborah and Mary as children, smiling beside their father at the lake, writing lessons, birthday parties. Deborah's fingers trembled as she turned each page. Then came the photos of Beechwood Lake. This lake, she whispered. It brought everything back, summer swims, laughter, the times she had told her family, one day, I want a house by this lake. Richard knew, she had always dreamed of it. Then, there it was, a house. Beautiful, unfamiliar, but perfect, white walls, blue window frames, a deck that faced the water, her dream. This can't be real, Deborah whispered. She flipped the next page, real estate documents, a house deed, and a key. Owner, Mary Wilson. But next to it, in Mary's handwriting, was this. To Deborah, the lake house you always dreamed of. Congratulations on your new beginning. Deborah's breath caught, her hands shook. Mary had bought her a house, a real one, a year ago. And she had tried to give it to her at the baby shower, in that album Deborah had tossed away without ever looking inside. Deborah's knees gave out, she sank into the couch, the room blurring with tears. For years, she had looked down on Mary, treated her as less than, mocked her dreams. She'd taken pride in being the successful sister, married, wealthy, admired. And yet Mary had quietly tried to give her the most beautiful, meaningful gift she'd ever received. She picked up the phone and called her mother. Mom, Deborah choked out, I did something terrible. Carol's voice came fast. Deborah, what happened? Is the baby? The baby's fine, Deborah sobbed. It's about Mary. I was horrible. She told her everything, the photo album, the cottage, her shame. There was silence on the other end. Then Carol's voice, smaller than Deborah had ever heard it. I was awful too. We shouldn't have treated Mary like that. They both fell silent, grieving not just their mistakes, but all the years they had misunderstood Mary. I have to call her, Deborah said urgently. I have to make this right. She tried Mary's number. It went to voicemail. Mary, it's me. I saw the album. Please call me back, please. No reply. She tried the apartment. No answer. Panicking, she called Richard. She's gone, Deborah said. She left. She's not answering. What if she never? I'll check with her office, Richard said, calm but concerned. An hour later, he called back. She's on vacation. No one knows where she went. Deborah clutched the album and cried harder than she had in years. She opened to the last page, a final note in Mary's hand. I hope this cottage will be filled with happy memories for you, the baby, and Richard. May your child swim in the lake and grow up surrounded by nature, just like we did. With love, Mary. Deborah wept. Mary had still loved her. Despite everything. In the following days, Deborah visited Mary's building daily. She slipped letters under the door, wrote messages, left voicemails. Mary, please, I'm so sorry. You've always loved me. I never saw it. Please, come back. Sometimes, she fell asleep with the album on her lap. Her heart had changed. The jealousy and pride had melted into something new, regret, humility. A quiet longing to make things right. Carol changed too. She finally visited Mary's design website. For the first time, she saw her daughter's talent, brilliant, detailed, full of heart. She sat back, stunned. I never really saw her, Carol admitted on a call. I just kept comparing her to you. But she's amazing. I didn't want to admit it either, Deborah said. I always wanted to be better, but she always had the bigger heart. They both cried again. And then, hope. Richard came home with a glimmer of news. A client mentioned a gala at the Museum of Fine Arts next Saturday. Mary is on the guest list. Deborah's eyes widened. I have to go. But your due date. I don't care. I need to see her. I need to make this right. Carol agreed. I'm going too. That Saturday, the museum sparkled with lights and music. Wealthy donors and young artists filled the grand halls. Deborah entered slowly, leaning on Richard, her belly large, her eyes searching. Then, she saw her. Mary, elegant in a black dress, laughing, glowing. She hadn't noticed them yet. There she is, Deborah whispered. They walked slowly across the room. Mary finally turned, and froze. Mary, Deborah said, voice trembling. Mary's smile faded. She looked ready to bolt. But she didn't. Deborah, Mom, Richard, she said quietly, what are you doing here? Please, Deborah said, I need to talk to you. This isn't the place, Mary said stiffly. My clients are here. Just 5 minutes, please. Mary hesitated, then nodded. They stepped into a quiet corner of the museum lobby. Mary crossed her arms. Then, Deborah did something that surprised everyone. She knelt. Deborah, what are you? Stand up. Mary tried to help her. I won't, Deborah said through tears. I've been a terrible sister. You gave me the most beautiful gift anyone's ever given, and I threw it away. I'm sorry, Mary. I'm so sorry. Mary's eyes shone with tears. Carol stepped forward. And I was a terrible mother, she said. I never appreciated you. I never told you how proud I was, but I am so proud of you. Mary stood silent. For years, she had dreamed of this moment, being seen, being heard, being loved. Please give us another chance, Deborah whispered. Not for the house, for you, for our family. Mary looked down. I sold the cottage, she said. Deborah gasped. You sold it? I thought it was for the best. Deborah felt crushed. I understand, she said quietly, but I don't care about the house. I care about you. Mary stared at her for a long time. Then finally said, trust isn't built in a day, but we can start, step by step. Deborah nodded, tears streaming, step by step. Mary gave a small smile. It was the beginning of something new. Not just for Deborah. But for Mary too.